We're going to go to Obadiah. It's right before Jonah. It's the minor prophet. Nobody knows much about him, from what I hear. But we know it had to be after the time that Nebuchadnezzar come down and destroyed Israel and took them captive. And Esau rejoiced over this. And so God sent him a message right here. And here we are today. I bet you Obadiah didn't think this would be here to this hour. You know what I mean? He wrote one chapter of the Bible. And nobody hardly knows nothing about him. Think about that. But I know it's the word of the Lord. He said the vision of Obadiah. Let me give y'all time to get there. Right after Amos and right before Jonah. You got a Walmart Bible, it's 1344.
1403.
Hey, I got 1403 too.
Y'all got the same kind of Bible then.
I got 1086.
Man, y'all don't shop at Walmart?
What chapter is it?
Read chapter 1, the only chapter they got.
Oh, only chapter.
Obadiah.
Obadiah. I've never even heard of it.
Numbers. You just put it in, that
Pop right up.
I guess we all just look over that, because I never
Yeah.
found it before.
I don't know much about it, but I know just a little bit. Lord want me to teach it this morning. Let's do the best we can. It said, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God, concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord. And when God's going to destroy a nation, he always sends out things. He sends his people out. He actually sends people over there to tell them too also. Most of the time they don't listen. All throughout the Bible, he tried to speak to them. Even Nebuchadnezzar, when he come down, he heard about Jeremiah, the prophecy of Jeremiah, and he blessed Jeremiah because of that. Said, we have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thine heart, he's talking about Edom right here, and we got to watch out that we don't let pride get a hold of us also. The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee. Thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, and that's where Edom was, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring thee down to the ground? A lot of people don't think they can be brought down to the ground, but the Lord can do anything. He can cause the devil to do anything he wants to. Also, God hates pride. He hates a proud look. That's one of the 7 things that God hates is pride. And he definitely don't want none of his children in pride. And I believe Esau got saved. That's why he didn't kill Jacob, and he blessed Jacob. And that's why you see in the book of Job that those men, those wise men, they knew about God, and they was wise in that. Think about that. It's because he had the same God of Abraham right here. Edom did. But at this time, he was done dead, and they couldn't get over themselves right here. And when Moses was passing through, he said, let us pass. And they said, no way. We're not letting you pass. He said, I won't mess with nothing. I just want to pass. The Lord said, don't do nothing to them either. These are your brethren right here. He says, though thou be exalted as the eagle, and though thou settest thy nest among the stars. That's pretty high when you set your nest among the stars. Thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord. And I tell you, I believe the Lord will bring every nation down eventually. America's going down one day. Russia's going down one day. And the little lands of Israel already went down. And God's bringing them back because of the prophecies of the Bible. They ain't fully brought back yet. The prophecy has not fully been come to pass yet, but it will be. And this is what Esau did not understand. And God was trying to show him, look, we're going to bring them back one day. They're going to dwell in your land one day. Here you are against them. So we had to watch out. It says, though thou exalt thyself as an eagle, You know, an eagle can soar very high. And he don't think he's going to get killed or nothing like that. But you know, you see no buzzards. I saw a buzzard dead. He don't think he's going to get killed. It's hard to kill a buzzard. Y'all know that. It really is. Every once in a while you'll see a buzzard dead. I passed some buzzards. The buzzards flocked together. I saw some buzzards. One or two was eating on the ground. There was one on the roof, two of them on the roof looking around. They was watching out for one another, and there was one cocked to the side, waiting his turn. So the buzzards flock together and they defend one another. It don't matter if they're doing something evil or not. Think about that. If thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they not have stolen till they had enough? If the grape gatherers came to thee, would they not leave some grapes? How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat of thy bread have laid a wound under thee. That makes me think of America right there. We the breadbasket of the world. We feed the world. We help people. We help people more than y'all know and I know. And people have deceived us and used us. And they laugh in our face and they think those arrogant Americans, you know, and we feed them. And we might think we have peace with some of those nations, but they can turn on us in a dime, and they will speak evil against us. Says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom, and understand out of the Mount Esau? Now God destroyed this place. I don't know exactly. I looked it up, and they said the archaeologist puts it through the certain century. I don't trust them, but they said that. I don't know when they was destroyed, but if God says you're going to be destroyed, you're going to be destroyed. It's plain and simple as that. And the mighty men of Teman, that's the place in Edom, shall be dismayed to the end that every one of the Mount Esau may be cut off by slaughter. Notice that right there. They didn't die a peaceful death. They got slaughtered. David had a deal with Esau, and he brought them under at that time. He never would utterly take them over. He made them pay taxes. But Esau, he was red. He was a hunter. And he wouldn't stay in his place, always running his mouth. And David had to bring him under subjection, and Solomon did also right there. Matter of fact, people gave themselves up to Solomon. The biggest part of Israel's kingdom was in Solomon David's days right there. God blessed them right there. People feared them, and they gave themselves up and brought themselves under tribute to David and them. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob. Notice that right there. We never want to be violent against another brother. This was blood brothers also, and at one time they were spiritual brothers also. And Abraham would have had something to say about this Esau right here if he was alive at this time. Shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. We're in the book of Obadiah. It's the book before Jonah. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the stranger carried away captive his forces, the foreigners entered into his gate and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was as one of them. But thou shouldest not have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day of that he became a stranger. Notice that right there. He became a stranger because he was cast out. And that day he became a stranger where he was. And Esau looked on them and said, they got what they deserve. You know what I mean? He should not have done that. God saw that. God hears everything. God sees everything. And he will repay, thus saith the Lord. Especially once it's against his children right there. It's plain and simple. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Notice that right there. They spoke proudly against Israel when they was taken captive, when Nebuchadnezzar came down They ran their mouth. They should have kept their mouth shut. They should have prayed to God themselves. And I think they said that Nebuchadnezzar actually destroyed Esau too. I don't know how true that is. Thou shouldest not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their afflictions in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. They took advantage of this situation, probably come over there and got some of Israel's things. I could go back and read in the book of Kings and different books, and they probably was over there trying to kill Israel after Nebuchadnezzar took them away, because he knew that they was at their weakest point right there. So when I see a brother fall, I'm going to try to pick him back up. I'm going to try to help him. So let's remember that right there. God takes this very serious. He said, neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Notice that when they were trying to escape, Esau was there to cut them off. And there was a few that was trying to escape. Wow, how blind can you be? I think when you're like this, your heart's not right. It's plain and simple as that. Your heart is not right. If we think evil of our brother like that, it's so much that we would do something harmful to him, your heart's not right, because the Lord deals with your heart. If your heart's right, you're going to feel it in your heart. That's how you look on people. That's how you pity your brother. You know what I mean? And then we always learn through the Bible it's not a good thing to touch another brother's, the Lord's anointed. You know what I mean? It's not a good thing. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done. Notice that right there. The day of the Lord is near. All of a sudden he starts talking about the second coming of the Son of Man. And I believe he's talking about the second coming of the Son of Man to show Esau, hey, look, the Lord's coming back because people are against Israel and God's going to fight for them. You're on the wrong side. He said, for the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen, as thou hast done. It shall be done unto thee. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Notice that. God will repay. For as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, I was thinking about, what is he talking about right there, you know? At one point, they were drinking upon that holy mountain theirself. So shall all the heathen drink continually, yea, they shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been, but upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance. See, I'm going to deliver my people. Here you're on the wrong side. I'm going to deliver my people. And one day he's going to deliver us up in the rapture of the church, take us on out of here. This world is getting dark. America's getting dark. The world's getting dark. The world's getting dark. America's getting dark with a smile on her face. Y'all notice that? With a smile on her face. Everything's lovely. They speak evil of what's good, and they praise what is evil. That's a prophecy in the Bible. Paul said that, I think, in Timothy. They're going to call good evil and evil good right there. And that's the way it is now today. I told you about the commercial, about the Fit Pit commercial, about the drag queen commercial, you know. They said that's where you get the joy from, you know what I mean? That ain't where you get joy from. You know, you get joy from the Lord right here. That's the only way to get joy from the Lord right there. To get joy on earth is through the Lord right there. You can excite the flesh, but you can't have joy in the flesh. I was sitting in Alabama on my chair yesterday. I said, man, this is so peaceful right here. So peaceful. My wife said, this is why they have wars, because everybody wants these types of land, you know, and they'll kill for them. And I got to imagine that our land, we're out there in Alabama just looking at clouds and trees and mountains, thinking, man, what if we see these bombs coming? You know what I mean? Destruction coming one day. Thank God I'll be gone. Just like Brother Olaf said, we can ride those nuclear bombs with spurs on our feet. That means just ride it all the way to glory. Just like a horse. You know what I mean? Says, for as ye have drunk upon my holy mountain, so shall the heathen drink continually. They shall drink, and they shall swallow down, and they shall be as though they had not been. Notice that. They're going to be like they have not been, never existed. But upon Mount Zion shall be deliverance, and there shall be holiness, and the house of Jacob shall possess their possessions, and the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. Notice that right there. He's saying, Esau, look what you did. Your land's going to be stubble. You're going to be stubble. You should have been on the Lord's side. I'm coming back to get Israel right here. You see what I'm talking about? Let's get on the Lord's side. Let's draw that line right there in the sand and get on the Lord's side. And they shall kindle in them and devour them, and there shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau. Notice that right there. Go look it up. Is Esau, does he exist? I think the Jordanians has got that land now. Does he exist anymore? Does the Amorites exist anymore? The Moabites, do they exist anymore? But look at Israel, they still exist. They're all over the face of this earth. Think about it. The devil's been trying to destroy them ever since they was born. And yet, they're all over the face of this earth. Think about it. And they of the south shall possess the mount of Esau, and they of the plain, the Philistines, and they shall possess the fields of Ephraim, and the fields of Samaria and Benjamin shall possess Gilead, and the captivity of these hosts of the children of Israel shall possess the Canaanites, even the Zarephites, and the captivity of Jerusalem, which is in Shepherah, I'm not exactly sure if I said that right, shall possess the city of the south, and Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. Right there. Notice that right there. And let's go to, flip over a few books to Zephaniah, right after Micah, I believe it is. No, Habakkuk. Let's go to Zephaniah. It also talks about the second coming of the Son of Man. And we learned that Zephaniah was in the days of Josiah. That's the last of the great kings. Right there, the saved kings anyway. That was the last of the saved kings. And I believe he might have died before his time. He got a little bit older, and somehow he got out of the will of God and didn't listen to the Lord. And then he died right there. It was the last of the great kings, the saved kings. It says in verse 2, I will utterly consume all things from off the land, saith the Lord. Notice that right there. Everything, he's going to burn this place with a fervent heat. This church will be melted. Everything that you see that man has built will be melted with a fervent heat from heaven. That's what Peter said, and Peter ought to know because Peter was right there with the Lord. No doubt God told him that. But we see it also here too in different places in the Bible. I will consume man and beast. I will consume the fowls of heaven and the fishes of the sea and the stumbling blocks which the wicked, and I will cut off man from off the land, saith the Lord. Right there. Notice that. He's going to burn man off the face, all the animals that are left behind, and all the stumbling blocks that men put off, and all the gods down here. He's going to bring them to naught. How's he going to do that? You got to realize that God, everybody's going to see the wrath of God, and they're going to say, this is God right here. This ain't the God of the Buddha. This is the God of Israel right here. He's going to wipe the remembrance of those strange gods off. He's going to show who's God when he does this. Cut off man from off the land, saith the Lord. And if God says it, it's going to come to pass, plain and simple. Is that he says, I'm going to read just this first chapter a little bit. I will also stretch out my hand upon Judah and upon all the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and I will cut off the remnant of Baal. Notice that right there. They kept getting mixed up, that Baal. I think that was the god of the Moabites right there. And they kept getting mixed up with that Baal. And I think it was Elijah showed who was the true and living God at one time. And he had a fight against Baal. And he proved that God was the true and living God. He answered by fire. And he destroyed all those people. He said, I want you to kill them all the priests. 400 men. They killed them all right there. And then old Jezebel said, why did they kill the Lord's prophets? You know what I mean? That wasn't the Lord's prophets. That was the prophet of the devil right there. And the name of Chemoros, that's right there, is just idol gods of the priest. And them that worship the host of heaven upon the housetops, and them that worship and that swear by the Lord, and that swear by Melcham. I looked that up. I don't know what god of that. I think that's the god of the Amorites right there. And them that are turned back from the Lord, and those that have not sought the Lord, nor inquired for him. Right there. There's a lot of people like that in this world.
Amen.
You know, if you ask most people, says you invite them to church, they say, I'll go to church somewhere. Do you realize that's the only thing they do for the Lord? Really, they're not doing it for the Lord. I'll go to church. Or you'll get an answer like, I don't go to church. That's a bunch of hypocrites right there. You know what I mean? That's about the answer you'll get. You'll look back and they got this fine big old house, 2 cars, nice job. They ain't got time for God. They're set in their ways. That's it. There's a lot of people like that. And I just have to say, well, that's good, but I'd like to invite you to mine one day, if you can. You know what I mean? Or let me tell you about Jesus. But if you try to say that to most people, they'll be saying, I'm already saved. I'm already saved. But they ain't. Because you don't feel God in it, for one thing. It's hard to find Christians out there in this world. It says, hold thy peace at the presence of the Lord. And we need to hold our peace at the presence of God. That means really pay attention when God's speaking. For the day of the Lord is at hand. For the Lord hath prepared a sacrifice. He hath bid his guest. We see that over the book of Revelation, chapter 20 right there, I believe it is. Bid his guest. And chapter 14 also. And it shall come to pass in the day of the Lord's sacrifice. That's the sacrifice when he destroys everybody at the battle of Armageddon. And the blood's going to be up the horse's bridle. You know, up here about 6 foot tall, whatever the horse is. He's going to kill all those people right there. And the king's children, and all such as are clothed with strange apparel. That means unsaved people right there. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit. Man, we got a lot of that going on. We got a lot of that in the White House. How about that? We got a lot of that in the halls of Congress. Man, we got a lot of that going on. Wow. There'll be a payday. There'll be a payday. I'm not going to stop preaching it. I'm going to preach, thus saith the Lord. I'm not changing. I preach it. And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and an howling from the second. He's talking about the house of the Lord right here. And a great crashing from the hills. Howl, ye inhabitants and of Matish, for all the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. And it shall come to pass at that time that I will outstretch Jerusalem with candles, and punish the men that are settled on their leagues, that say in their heart, the Lord will not do good, neither will he do evil. There's a lot of blasphemous things people say today. They was interviewing some about the resurrection of Christ and the resurrection day, what happened on that day, and they was coming up with blasphemous answers right there. And the people has invaded Jerusalem, and they're still occupying Jerusalem right now. We got the Muslims over there. We got different people from different countries. They occupy that place. Though Israel has a part right there, there's still people that has control of different things of Jerusalem from different countries right here. And when the Antichrist comes in, he'll take total control. But the Lord's going to come in with a candle and search for him and destroy him. It said, therefore, their goods shall become a booty, and their houses a desolation. They shall also build houses, but not inhabit them. That sounds just like in different prophecies of the Bible. And they shall plant vineyards, but not drink the wine thereof. That's because they're going to be destroyed. And it's just like in the book of the Gospels right there, where it said they was building houses and everything. They was married, given in marriage all the way up to the time. Notice that. Everything was trying to be normal up to the time. The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteneth greatly. Even the voice of the day of the Lord, the mighty man shall cry there bitterly. Notice that when they destroyed Babylon, they wept bitterly right there. The merchants stood afar off and wept bitterly. That the day is that day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, a day of the trumpet and the alarm against the fences, cities, and against the high towers. And I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men, because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. And neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them. Notice that right there. In the day of the Lord's wrath. Sounds just like Revelations. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy. Notice that. He's going to burn it with fire, and it's going to be the fire of his jealousy. Right there. He's going to destroy this land. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. Notice that. A speedy riddance of them. Go back and read chapter 2 and chapter 3. I'm not going to go into all that right now. I wouldn't want to keep reading. I try to do one chapter, but if the Lord let me do 2, I would, you know. But it's a good study. You know, sometimes when I was growing up as a Christian, these books would be so hard, I'd get lost right when I started reading them. I'd be like, what are you talking about? I wouldn't have no clue. But as the years go by and you get more mature in the Lord, you start understanding things better. God starts enlightening your eyes better on certain things, especially when he wants you to speak to the people about it. You know. But we appreciate what God gave us today. Appreciate his great mercy, his tender love. Y'all pray for us. And last week we was in here, we didn't have no lights. All of a sudden the lights went out before the service. We just kept preaching, kept teaching. We lost power right off the bat.